Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up.
Bill Maher on his show Real Time with Bill Maher did a new rules segment talking about how the Democratic Party that he's always been a supporter of has gone insane with many of their viewpoints and policies. Bill breaks all this down and gives some great examples. Check this out.
People sometimes say to me, you didn't used to make fun of the left as much. Yeah, because they didn't give me so much to work with. The oath of office I took was to comedy. And if you do goofy shit, wherever you are on the spectrum, I'm going to make fun of you because that's where the gold is. And the fact that they are laughing at it should tell you something. It rings true.
And Bill Maher's audience is far from a conservative audience. They're all pretty liberal, but they're going along with everything he's going to say here.
When normal people read that San Francisco has basically legalized shoplifting, they think Democrats have gone nuts. They think, that Ted Cruz guy seems like a real stiff. But at least he believes in the concept of shopping with money. It's not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF. Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up. California just passed a law requiring large retailers to have a non-gendered toy section. A non-gendered toy section? Isn't Ken enough? We need a law for that? Do you have to inject yourselves into everything? From where you can throw a frisbee to who can braid hair? This is why so many people, by the way, were triggered by COVID policies. They were already sick of rules. Regulation should be a good issue for Democrats. It's certainly one they're associated with. And I think the average voter would agree that banks and chemical plants and drug companies need watching. Telling a company, you can't dump the waste from your hog farm straight into the water supply. We're mostly all for that. But Democrats have become a parody of themselves, just making rules to make rules because it makes you feel like you're a better person. Making sure that everything bad never happens again, which you can never fully do. It just makes everyone else's life a drag. The Biden infrastructure bill has a provision that requires all new cars to install an alert system that goes off when you leave a baby in the back seat, which is something done only by crackheads and people who sadly, yes, do it on purpose. And after every one of us winds up bearing the cost for cars to install this alarm, you know who's going to ignore it? Crackheads and people who do it on purpose. A sensor light is not going to fix this problem, and Democrats no longer possess the common sense to understand that not every problem in the world can be fixed with a regulation. But don't tell that to the advocacy groups who also want every future car in America to only start when the driver blows into a breathalyzer. Oh, great. My other car is a Karen. Well, you know, it's also not safe to drive when you're crying. Should we make a car that follows your texts and stops the engine when you're dumped? Racism is bad. How about a car that won't start unless you play a message about tolerance from George Takei?
It surprises me, as outspoken as Bill Maher has been over the years about the pharmaceutical companies and how bad pharmaceutical drugs can be for you, that he didn't mention all the people that are driving around, you know, perfectly legally using prescription drugs, but that affect their ability to drive. There would be, I'm sure, just as many people who are impaired from prescription drugs driving as there are people impaired from alcohol, but Bill Maher doesn't point that out. I guess it's probably not funny, so you can't really make a joke about it, but I thought that was a bit of a miss by Bill Maher here, but otherwise he's completely right about this.
Regular viewers of this program may recall my long battle to get solar power hooked up at my house. It involved this shed, which had to be built to house this solar battery. Yes, that battery needed a house to live in. And not just any house, one that had to follow the specifications of this chart. That's a real chart of the steps we had to go through to get this thing turned on. Democrats have to stop thinking that what the voters dream about is to be hassled. If you buy a shed at Costco, it comes with this warning. Warning, this product can expose you to wood dust. Wood dust. No kidding, which is known to the state of California to cause cancer. That's right, California thinks you're going to snort your shed. I don't want to blow Pinocchio. I just want to put the lawnmower away.
Bill Maher is an interesting character because he's obviously a Democrat. He doesn't like Trump. He supports the Democrats, but he also goes after the left quite a bit with these, you know, examples that he makes here of woke things that are really stupid, that pretty much anybody of either party is going to agree for the most part that these things are dumb. And why the Democratic politicians would do these things is beyond me in terms of gaining votes. Most people, even in the Democratic Party, don't want these things that he's talking about. Most Democrats do not want everybody's car to have a breathalyzer in it. You know, that's insane. And you have the politicians like Bernie Sanders, who almost never weighs in on these woke things. No matter how you feel about Bernie Sanders, he basically just talks about economic issues. He talks about the 1% versus the 99%, the millionaires and the billionaires, and Medicare for all and Social Security and all those kind of things. He doesn't weigh in on these issues like this. And I don't know why the rest of the Democratic Party wouldn't do the same, because like Bill Maher is saying here, it just makes them appear totally nuts to any regular people. So Bill Maher makes really good points here about all of this woke nonsense. And as he said, that's why he makes fun of the left now, because a lot of this stuff they didn't used to do. But what do you think about what Bill Maher is saying here? Is he correct about this? Even if you don't like Bill Maher because he's a Democratic Party establishment, or you view him as being on the left or whatever, do you agree with what he's saying here, or do you disagree with Bill Maher on this? This seems like a pretty normal viewpoint that Bill Maher has here that most Americans would agree with. Yes, there are people on the fringes, and there are people on both parties who are on the fringes, but the Democratic Party does get into this weird stuff like gender neutral dolls and all of these things that, like Bill Maher is saying, most Americans do not agree with. If you like this content, make sure to give me a like and subscribe. That helps me to grow the channel. Leave your comments and all of that. This is Chris on Culture. I'll see you in the next video.